from South Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chair Powell, for investing the time with us. We've seen you a lot lately, and I think it's important that we continue to have the conversation in public about the priorities of the Fed. One of the concerns that I have, I think both Senator Toomey and Senator Crapo have discussed the importance of the Fed staying on mission and not looking for ways to expand the mission, looking at nominees like Ms. Raskin's approach in public statements as it relates to the environmental responsibilities that the Fed should take on. I am completely, unequivocally opposed to that direction. I know that there's a lot of attention being paid these days to ESG. I think that is a bad direction for the Fed. I think the Fed should focus its attention on its primary responsibilities and frankly not even get involved in congressional matters. I know that Senator Tester had some important questions to the wrong person about truckers. I think if we were going to have a long, serious debate about your opinion on what Congress should do to help truckers, we would start back in the Obama administration and look at the hours of service that curtailed the number of available truckers that we have and the amount of time that they could spend on the roads. So there's a lot of things that the Fed shouldn't do. The one thing that we want you to continue to do is to focus on the impact that our everyday folks like in Abbeville, South Carolina, or in Anderson, South Carolina, are feeling the pressure from the inflationary effects of this economy. And we can't tie that to Russia or conflict. We can just tie that to bad decisions by Democrats and the Biden administration when on day one you cut off the Keystone XL pipeline, which could have pumped 800,000 barrels a day, and we are dependent on Russian oil at 600,000 barrels a day. The inflationary impact that South Carolinians have felt since December of 2020, where prices were $1.99 and now they're $3.40. I think about the seniors who are trapped in too much month and too little money. And I think to myself that too many folks on fixed incomes throughout this country, and specifically in South Carolina, are having to make decisions about rationing medicine, rationing food, rationing energy, whether it's in your car or at your home. This is a crisis. I love to hear that our wages are up 4 or 5%, but inflation's up 7.5%. So the net effect is that the invisible tax that we refer to here in Washington as inflation is eroding and degrading the spending power of everyday Americans, and they are not gullible. They know exactly what has changed, and anytime you put fuel on a fire, you should expect it to get hotter, and our economy reflects that same direction. And those are concerns that I have, and I know that yesterday you spoke at length about how the Fed policymakers are working to game out a variety of policy scenarios to grapple with the uncertain economic risks posed by the ongoing geopolitical turmoil while simultaneously working to curb still rising prices. And I think that is an important and incredible balance that you will be in charge of. And I'm frankly didn't vote for you the first time. I'm voting for you this time because I think that you've proven that you have kept your eye on the ball, and it's necessary for folks in my state and around this country. I would love for you to spend my 90 seconds left. Talk to me about the gaming out of scenarios that the Fed is going through so that the average person in our country can appreciate the depth that you are, depth of knowledge and the time that you're investing in helping us understand the scenarios that could happen.
Sure. So we have tools to bring inflation down, and they work by raising interest rates. We do that over time, and what that does is it increases mortgage rates, but just at the margin, and the same thing with the car loans and things like that. And ultimately, that slows down demand, ideally, in a way that comes to a gradual halt, and economic activity continues. So that's what we're trying to do here. Right now, we need to move away from very low interest rates. They're not appropriate for the current situation in the economy. The economy is very strong. Unemployment is low. Wages are going up. The labor market is quite healthy. And inflation is all too high. So we're responsible. We're accountable for inflation. And we're going to use our tools to bring it down.
May I have it one more time, Chairman? I know this is your committee. Thank you, sir. Very kind. So question for you. As you think about the next meeting when you discuss the interest rate increases, Are there increments that you would consider, not foreshadowing your decisions, but the incremental increases that you think would bring the spending and the inflation down while not over challenging the economy?
Yeah, so as I mentioned yesterday, my thinking at this time, which is a very, very sensitive time in markets and in the world because of what we're seeing happening in Ukraine, and we don't know the economic implications of that, I said that I would be recommending and supporting a 0.25% interest rate increase at our March meeting, which is 2 weeks from yesterday. So, but I also said that if we don't see inflation behaving as we expect it to behave, which is to peak and begin to come down, if we see inflation behaving in ways not consistent with that, then we're prepared to raise by more than that amount in a meeting or meetings.
Very good. I will simply say, for, as I call them, the kitchen table economists all across the country, typically moms making hard decisions on rationing, the amount of resources that they have and the priorities that they have. I think it's really important for us to make as clear as possible and as simple as possible their understanding and appreciation for what's happening. When you're trying to run a very strong and heavy load at home and you have a full-time job, I think what we can do to talk in a way that makes it easy for us to digest at home, we are doing our public, the average person in our country, a lot of good to understand what we're trying to explain. Thank you.
Senator Warren from Massachusetts is recognized.